Hello Seekers, welcome to another gameplay video by Malediction. Today I'm gonna post a gameplay against Daniel, one of the game designers for Malediction. Our games are always very difficult for each other, and this one I played as Pollionore, one of my favorite strongest decks, and he played as Auric, one of his favorite and strongest decks. Well, stay with me to the end of this video and check out this high quality gameplay. Here we start the game as every game, rolling the dice, deciding who goes first, and you might think not, but this is a very important phase of the game because deciding the terrain placement is part of your strategy. You must be very careful when placing the terrains because the blocking line of sight, the blocking of movement and stuff like that are very important for you later on the game, as you will see in this gameplay. Okay, so do not underestimate this phase. It is very important. It's not just to scatter the terrains around, especially not only scatter the husks around. You have to plan where you are going to place them, where you want to start, and you have to think about what if I start in a very different position, in the opposite position. How will I manage to reach the husks or to stop my opponent from getting their husks? So give the heat this phase deserves. Draw 7 cards. And Pollionore has a very weak spot for beating because he has many spells, and most spells are very cheap, echo-wise. And honestly, I want all of them to be in my hand, so I have a very hard time. I could not beat my Spellbound Devourer because he is the strongest melee unit I have, and the only one I have on my hand right now. So in this scenario, I had to choose a spell to bid on, and I decided to bid for a counter because Auric's deck is not spell heavy, so I didn't think it would be many things I would like to counter. He won on the dice because we were tied, and he got the initiative. I decided to remain here on the bottom left side because this is the strongest part of the terrain for Pollionore. Pollionore has a very good strategy relying on that on this terrain piece over here because it's like a bunker for him. You're gonna see throughout the game that I change Daniel's Echo very often because he had an issue with Tabletop Simulator that he couldn't see or change it very well, so I was helping him with that. And he opened with Auric, a Pollionore Rider, and a Vakari's Priest. Vakari's Priest is very strong because he is an Echo Engine, right? He helps sustain the Echo flow for your deck. And all I had were several spells. I decided to keep 7 Echo with myself so I could later on cast eventually any spells I would like to. And he started with just spraying. This is a very standard start on round 1. Not always you have several stuff you want to do. I just moved Pollionore and I played a Diasus Strike for free so my Devourer could reach the relic. In my innocence, I believed I would get that relic, but Pollionore Rider has dash and he can reach almost anywhere, right? So he decided it was a good idea for him just to go after my relic. He doesn't have to engage with my unit, he can only contest the husk. That's what he did. And we moved to round 2. At this point, I was very comfortable. Although each of us only have 1 relic, I have a very strong unit within range to hit his Pollionore Rider, and I had range from both my units to do so. And besides that, I got a relic with Pollionore that increases my range, but I decided to take this Lightning Scepter because I would already have Ranged Specialist for my bow that is on my hand. So I increased to 18 my range. I pretty much can shoot anywhere on the battlefield. I draw more spells, but that's okay because I already have 2 strong units on the battlefield that I could probably protect or, well, use the spells for something else, right? I of course wanted to give Pollionore the bow, so right now I am very strong with Pollionore. I have 18 range and 5/4 damage for my attacks. And Daniel starts to do what Auric does, that's cast several equipments, so he can draw several cards after the deployment phase. That keeps his hand full, his resources balanced, because whenever he destroys the items, he gets the Echo back. Since I didn't bid for initiative, we finished the deployments and he gets to choose who activates first. In this case, he decided to activate first, he's going to use his molecular rider. All his units have equipment to increase their life or the defense, so he's very well protected, and he wanted to make sure that I wouldn't kill his molecular rider with my pollionore on his first activation. Right? So he activated that, and I wanted to show him that pollionore has several shenanigans on his hand, and I cast telekinesis on his molecular rider to move it in a space in which I would manage to hit him with my attacks. I also spent one more to cast Shatter because pollionore has dual cast spell, which means that I can cast 2 channels from my hand on his activation, and since Auric's Legacy only protects the damage from attacks by destroying the items, I could destroy the item, do the damage, without him have the option to prevent it. I laid my 3 strikes, it was a hit, so 5 damage, and the second one was also a hit, would be a kill, but he had Ward of Valkyries to prevent the damage, so I couldn't manage to kill this guy this time, right? But that's good enough. I destroyed the item, I moved his unit, he wouldn't manage to call for reinforcements or claim the relic with that. It's a good move for me. So right now he's going to activate his Valkyrie's Priest, and probably just to pray, because since Auric is exact at 6 feet, he can pray twice for 2 echo that he probably needs, right? Because then he's going to be at 3 echo, that's the cost for Ward of Valkyries. So I already know that he wants to protect his units. And I'm going to accept that bait. I'm going to activate my Spellbound Devourer, pay only 1 to cast my Liazrin Stride from the graveyard, so he can make an extra move, and when I do so, I reveal the top card. If it's a spell, I draw it, and it's a very good spell. So I'm going to do the free move here. I'll be in range for my charge, and I'm going to try to kill again his Molecular Rider. Regardless, if it's not a 1, he would die anyway, but he just prayed, right, in the God's Listening. He spent his 3 echo and used Die Hard on his Molecular Rider, preventing him from dying again. So you see that Auric has a very good mix of defensive spells. Although pollionore is a blast, I can explode things very fast, I could not manage to kill a single elite unit using my both activations. I could have not moved and just claimed the relic, but I wanted the echo first. On his turn, he activated Auric and swing for a hit, but it was a miss, so 3 damage, no big deal, I'm okay with that. Next round, we draw another 2 cards. Right now, I really wish I could challenge for initiative, but I only have cheap units, cheap spells, cheap cards, right? I have very strong cards on my hand, so it was not worth it for me to bid for initiative, because all my spells, all my cards are very cheap, so I just rolled with that. He wouldn't manage to kill my Spellbound Devourer with 1 activation, so I was okay with that. He deployed first. He deployed Battle Master nearby his Valkyrie's Priest, because his Auric and Boneclaw were engaged, he had no other option. And that was good for me, because Battle Master doesn't have a very high movement, he was very far away. And I decided then to place another unit, Bahigudin in this case, not because I needed, but because I wanted 1 more activation. And this would be very important for me later on the game, because more activations mean more spells, and since I am on Starkest Hall, they are cheaper. He activated first with his Molecular Rider, made 2 attacks against my Devourer, both hit, and then he used a dying unit to give me 8 damage, and Molecular Rider has both dash and nimble, so he can move without provoking retaliation. So he landed 8 damage on my face and moved to be nearby the relic. Well, after that, I decided to activate my Spellbound Devourer because I needed. I spent 4 echo because it was from my graveyard to move him. I could have hit and moved, but then I wouldn't reach the relic, and at this time, since he is dying, I thought the relic would be better than trying to do some damage to Auric. Auric doesn't move very fast, so for me it was better to run away. He activated his Valkyrie's Priest just to be in range, made a move, and prayed. As you can see, Valkyrie's Priest is another activation which delays my turn, and he gets to get more echo every single round. That's a very useful unit. And he is not in range due to the terrain that's blocking my view, so I had to try to adjust my positioning, and I found a position that I could hit both Auric and the Valkyrie's Priest. So I made one move and 2 attacks, one against each. Auric has a lot of defense, so it's hard to hit him, but the good thing is Pollionore doesn't really care because the difference between a graze and a hit is only 1 damage. The Valkyrie's Priest took it all the 5 damage, but he spent his Great Shield to prevent 2 of the damage, which gave me 1 Mastery and gave him 1 Echo. And then I activated Twin Flames to do 3 damage to the Bony Claw, because I really don't want him to grab the relic, and another 3 damage to Valkyrie's Priest, because then I can kill it with later activation, for Bahigudin for example. But I thought it was best just to spend another Echo and kill it right away, because I had several spells on my hand. I want some of them to be on the graveyard for later use. On his turn, he activated Auric. He spent 3 to cast Adrenaline Rush, because he wanted to go after my units. He wanted to go after my Spellbound Devour, but since he wouldn't have range to charge, he made 3 movements and engaged with Pollionore. Pollionore had already activated, so there was nothing I could do right now, and I had only Bahigudin left. This was going to be a very difficult round 4 for me, because Auric is already engaged with Pollionore, and he can do a lot of damage, especially because he has an equipped item. So I activated Bahigudin to do 2 more damage and destroy the item ASAP, right? And I was going to engage, I engaged to make another attack, because Bahigudin, he made a hit. I didn't want him to hit, but he did, which triggered the counter attack from Auric and almost killed my Bahigudin, but that's life. And we moved on. The last activation from the round was the Stars Battle Master. He just moved because there was nothing else he could do, and to my delight, he could not reach the relic. End of round, he very smart destroyed the reliquary to get the Everlasting Heart, which was the relic I was looking for my Spellbound Devour. That already gave his Auric 4 plus life. That makes a huge difference for me. And I was very sad, but still we got Reaper's Edge, which is useless for Spellbound Devour because he already has a Sense Binder and he already has Melee Expert. So I made a very bold move and got my Spellbound Devour a Ring of Time. Ring of Time is not the relic I usually go for it, but I have a ton of good spells on my graveyard and on Auric's graveyard, and I don't want to risk losing my Spellbound Devour, which gives me 10 Mastery, right, for the relic. So I decided to get him something I could use for a more defensive play. When we drew 2 cards for the next round, I was very happy because I got Endless Transposition, which is a spell that shifts the unit's place, right? And this was very important for me because I knew I could change Auric's placement from engaged to Pollionore to anywhere else if I had a unit nearby. So all I had to do was waiting for his Battle Master to activate, and I could change places. I wanted to get the initiative to try to do something like that. He had Herald to defend it, and he still got the initiative. So he made his deployment first, which was a very aggressive one, but I was kinda glad he did so, because he spent all his Echo for Troll Berserker, equipped with a shield, if I'm not mistaken. And for me that was good, because I knew I could do anything I wanted without him having another Die Hard spell or anything like that. So he activated Auric first, healed for another 3, thanks to his regeneration, and made 2 attacks. Rolled a 1, which was amazing because Bahigudin took it, and a 3, which was a grace. That's okay, 3 damage, I can handle that for Pollionore. Since he couldn't kill my Pollionore, it was bad for him to destroy his item, right? He wanted to keep it. I just separated the spells he had because I knew I wanted Adrenaline Rush. So after a lot of measurements, I decided to activate my Bahigudin just to shift away from Auric, so I could use my Endless Transposition later. At start, I was thinking about using Endless Transposition with my Spellbound Devour. Activated, since he has 4 range, he could hit Auric twice to to pull Auric away from pollionore, and then I would hit, because since pollionore has 19 life, that's a lot, but I wouldn't have the range for that. So I just left Barrigudin there. He activated his Battle Master. It was very tempting to kill his Battle Master because it was easier than Auric, but Battle Master would only award me 6 mastery and I needed 7 to win the game. So it was not a choice. My second activation, and that's when things start to get interesting. I activated my Spellbound Devour, spent 4 Echo to cast my Ambidextrous Position, and swap Auric and Barrigudin. Like I said, I wanted my pollionore to have a clear range to make his ranged attacks. And I used my Relic for Spellbound Devour to cast Adrenaline Rush from his graveyard and make my pollionore make a ranged attack against Auric. Sadly, it was a 1, so I couldn't do a decent amount of damage. That's life. He rolled a 1 with Auric against pollionore. I rolled a 1 from pollionore against Auric. That sounds fair. Well, his turn, he just engaged his Berserker with my Spellbound Devour. At this point, I was not very worried about it because he didn't have any Echo. So if I managed to kill Auric, that was game for me, and I had 2 strong spells on my hand. So pretty much I was going to make 2 rolls and I just needed to hit once, which I did on the very first one. So I did 5 damage, the second one was a graze, so another 4 damage, and I had 10 more damage on my sleeve. And I had just enough Echo to do both of them, leaving Auric dead with dropping the husk and allowing me to make the 10 master I needed for the game. So as you can see, this was a very good gameplay, a very straightforward. Auric has a very strong defensive part with very strong units for his offense counterpart. pollionore is always a pain in the ass to handle because he has a lot of shenanigans, he has a lot of tricks on his sleeve. The movement placement, when you should run away with a unit, when you should just let it die and keep it fighting. These are the important decisions you have to make every single game, okay? I hope you have enjoyed this gameplay. I hope it have helped you guys to understand some of the decisions we make during the game. If you enjoyed and if you lasted that long on this video, please subscribe to the channel, like this video, make a comment, tell me what you thought about these gameplays. Which activations and which actions would you have made different? Please let me know your thoughts and let's make this community be bigger every single time. Stay well, Seekers. Until next time.